Fraser Ross, congratulations on third place, a strong drive from 15th place in qualifying.
Yeah, it was good. I think today it just shows you how teamwork comes together. It's a huge team effort from McElroy Racing. It's to turn the car around from where it was yesterday after qualifying. It's an amazing job, and it really feels like a win. And to repay all the guys who worked back late last night with a result today, couldn't ask much better.
Let's talk about working late last night, because the car wasn't 100% yesterday, but today clearly it was.
Yeah, we had a little bit of problem with some cooling with the car, but like the guys from McElroy Racing, McLaren GT, they did a really good job. They stayed back late last night in the cold and they fixed it. They turned it around to, and we had a really good race car. And we knew from the warm-up we'd be strong. We just had to get through from the back of from the field cleanly, and I had a good stint. Warren did an amazing job. The whole team was really, really good through the strategy play they did, and it was really a team result today. And I can't thank them enough.
And talk to us about your opening lap, because you started 15th. By the end of the opening lap, you're about 10th place, and that's what set this result up for you.
Yeah, I knew the biggest advantage after talking to all the guys, engineers, whatnot. They told me that most of the amateurs were starting, so I had to put a good set of tyres on and just push as much as we can through the field. I think by the opening couple of laps, we were well inside the top 10, and we kept picking them off from there. It was a really good couple of laps. A bit dicey too, and a couple of holes that really weren't there, but we made them there. So look, it was really good. The whole team that was really good on the radio to me, keeping my head, and Luffy was on the radio to me as well before he jumped in. It was really good.
And then when Warren jumped in, you moved forward a little bit further still. So between yourself and Warren, you've got a really good combination there.
Yeah, we do, and he's helped me a lot with. He was with me at Perth, obviously, and this is the second round now with McElroy, and it's just taking strides. We're really gelling well together. In his stint, we needed just to get past Camilleri to get back on that lead lap, and then as soon as we did, that safety car came out, which was just perfect timing, and it worked really well. He was really good in the car and nice on the tyres, so it was perfect.
Okay, well done.
Thank you.
Just obviously first one for you and Warren as a combo. Is there any chance that he might be able to continue on for the rest of the year?
I'll speak to the boss about that, but we've done a really good job straight away together. I mean, we gel really well together. The whole team is really good. The McElroy Racing guys, YNA Autosport, and McLaren GT. It's just a team that's really gelling together. And to come from like Matt was saying, 15th to third, it feels like a win today for us. And to repay the guys who worked really hard last night, and the whole team, it's really good.
Just talk us through that sort of opening phase when the rain came out. How sort of challenging was it?
It was really challenging, especially when the rain first came. It was really bad over the back half of the circuit. We were on slicks, and it was basically diabolical. Obviously, we have the traction control and all that, but geez, it was full on. A couple of tank slappers, and I remember I was screaming on the radio saying, I need wets. But the team, they did a good job. They obviously listened to my command, and look, the car was really good in the wet weather. When it dried, it was a little bit. We didn't have the pace, but when it was a big downpour, we had some good speed.
Did you get caught up in that pit stop chaos in that first?
Yeah, we did a little bit, but that was chaotic. But we were when everyone was jammed in a gridlock in a parking lot down in pit lane, we were still doing our stop, our fuel, our tyres. So I saw that the Hackett Mercedes was stuck there. Yeah. So as soon as I went out, we made up some ground on them, which was good, and we chased them and passed them. Obviously, they got us back a bit later, but it was good to know that we were fighting up the front.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Well,
thanks very much.
Thank you.
Peter Hackett and Dominic, P2 today. Congratulations, a strong drive, not quite there in the end.
Hey, look, we couldn't have done much more as a team. We're always going to be very patient in the beginning of the race. Liam got a great start, and it took me a little bit of time to get my tyres up to temperature. So I knew once we caught the back markers, I'd be able to maybe outrace him a little bit, and we got a really good gap. We pitted exactly to strategy. We obviously got held up in pit lane. We'll move on, and then I handed over a car to Dom after the rain came. Incredibly difficult conditions initially. The guys are on the radio saying, "Do you want to be on slicks? Do you want to be on wets?" And as soon as the rain came in, I was like, "Nah, get me out of here. Put me on the groove tyres." And the strategy for us played out really well. I think the whole field did a good job. The number of safety cars was quite minimal, and I really felt sorry at one point out there for all of the marshals that were standing in the rain waving flags, because it was cold and miserable in the car. I can't think of what it was like for them.
Yeah.
And Dom, in the last stint there, it looked like you might just be able to get onto the back of Jackson Evans, but you just didn't quite have the pace in the end.
Yeah, I think the last safety car helped a lot.
after the safety car restart, I had about 4 cars between myself and Jackson, and I thought that it was possible. But then when I worked out that the second car in line was Garth Tander and another Audi, I thought better of it, and I realised that I should probably just settle for second and take that today, and you know, bank some good points. We did it last year. We finished third, and we ended up second in the championship. So hopefully this is a good omen for us, and we can move up one more spot this year.
And Peter, tell us about when the rain hit the first time through. It seemed like someone turned on the sprinklers and it was suddenly went from dry to wet.
Yeah, that was the decision that I made. It was actually, it soaked straight away. The track was wet, and I think I was the first out there, and I had no idea where to brake or how much power. We just cranked all the traction, all the ABS up, and luckily I got on the radio to my guys and I said, we got to get out of this right now. And we weren't the only ones on the same strategy, but yeah, you're right. It was like they turned the hose on, and it was consistently wet. So, you know, there was a drying line, but it wasn't one of those races where, do we jump to slicks, do we stay on wets? You know, they're always the hardest from a driver's point of view and from a team's point of view, where half the field's on slicks and half the field's on wets. It was wet and it was going to stay wet.
And Dom, you set up nicely for the championship, pole position plus second place. That's a good bag full of points with 3 rounds to go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good points haul, and you know, Pete and I, we know we're consistent everywhere. There's a couple of areas we'll work on from last year, but especially the 2 New Zealand tracks where I got the lap records last year. You know, I know that I can go back there and be super competitive. We nearly won the race at Hampton last year, so you know, I think this is a good start to the championship. We'll get to Sydney and try and bank some more points there, try and get on the podium there, and then head to New Zealand with a lot of confidence and hopefully be right up there in the championship.
Just when the rain came down, there was chaos when everyone came into the pits. So just talk us through that, and how important was it? Because you went a lap down, and I guess that decided the race. Really.
Yeah, that was the deciding factor. You know, we made a good decision. We had a fantastic pit stop. We did everything right, and then we spent, I don't know how long it was.
It would have been at least a minute. I was running down pit lane like, what is going on here?
You know, just sitting there is really frustrating. I understand it when you get a penalty. I understand it when, you know, but to be blocked by a team of cars that are just blocking pit lane, and then unfortunately they let the Porsche come out before they came in, and Twig had stayed on track, and he was then the leader. So if we'd managed to follow the Porsche out, it wouldn't have been so painful for us. But the fact that Max was leading and stayed on slicks, they got that lap on us. So, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people that will review the tapes, and I'm sure there'll be a solution. I'm sure it won't happen again. Unfortunately, this time it happened to us, and you know, good things come to people who wait.
Given that happened, you actually managed to make a good fight back of it and weren't too far off actually in the end.
I think the next safety car actually fell just in time, which was just before Pete was going to pit, and that way he actually got the lap back, which was fantastic. And then I don't know what happened to the Talbot Porsche at the end, but that sort of put us up in that podium position again. And then from there, I just drove my race. I don't even know where I was when I came out of the pits, but after a few laps, I was told I was in the lead, and then I pitted one more time for the CPS, and then once I went back out, I was third, I think, and then picked off one and got second. So yeah, it was a good race all round.
Did you end up getting a tyre tent in the end after yesterday's?
No, no, we didn't. We ran nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, ultimately the beginning of the race where Liam just gapped me a little bit early on that's the difference. Yeah. We now know that, and we'll chase our sponsors for some assistance before we get to New Zealand.
Excellent. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
No problem.
Cool.
Good. That's it.